How do you add Part B of Medicare coverage when you're ready to retire? We'll answer that today on Joanne with Get Set Up, and we'll talk about adding Part B when you are ready to retire. This happens very, very frequently. So many people in our country are working past age 65. If you're doing so and your employer has over 20 people, you've been able to defer Part B of Medicare. Not everybody has to get Medicare at age 65, and if you've been working and you work for a large employer, you've deferred Part B, but now you're 68 or 70 years old and you're finally ready to retire. So what do you do and how do you do this? So it's actually a very simple process. I will say one thing is to please be prepared in terms of time. What we would suggest is have a target date. So let's just pretend that somebody is retiring at the end of the year. December 31st of 2024 is their intended target date for retirement. Whether your employer knows about this or not is a different issue, but that's going to be your date in your head. So that means in most cases, you're going to have to get coverage with Medicare started for January 1st. You might have a spouse on the plan as well. So there might be two people, there could be one person. So what's going to happen is about 2 to 3 months before your intended target date of January 1st in this case, we or your agent is going to provide somebody with what we call an L564 form. You can Google that form. It's an employer verification form. That form is going to go to your employer, and then they are going to sign the form stating that you or your spouse or you and your spouse have had medical coverage with that employer since you were 65 years old. Remember, if you had not had coverage with them since you were 65, you could be looking at a late enrollment penalty into Medicare because you didn't have any coverage for those few years. But in this case, it's not the case because you've been working. So all we need is that employer to sign off and verify that. It's a very simple form. Next, when you have that form signed, you're then going to approach the Social Security Administration, and you can do this in a couple different ways. We suggest typically the uploading on the website, on the Social Security Administration portal. If you have Part A already, you can upload your documents and just say, hey, I'm adding Part B now. Here's my verification form from the government so I don't get a late enrollment penalty. And literally on that form, there's a remarks section in there that you will put in. You will write in, I want my Medicare Part B to begin on January 1st, 2025. And you can submit this up to 90 days ahead of time in anticipation of that January 1st start date. I would always suggest doing it as early as you possibly can because we're relying on Social Security Administration to process things, and that can be challenging at times because they are short-staffed. So that's how that works. The next thing you know, you're going to get confirmation email saying we got your application. They're going to send another email stating you're in phase 2 of your process, and then ultimately phase 3, and you've been approved for Part B. And then you could even go and look into your Social Security Administration portal, and you'll see a benefit verification letter. And it's in there waiting for you, and it's telling you that your Part B has been activated on a certain date. So you're going to be all set, okay? At the same time, just a little pro tip here, while you're doing all of that with the Social Security Administration, work with your online, your agent, your ship counselor, whoever you're working with to get your coverage in place. Do that at the same time. So you're not waiting on Part B because you don't need to wait for that. You can have everything going, get it all lined up together, and then it all sitting there waiting for you on January 1st, okay? So it's not a super difficult process. It's just knowing the right thing to do at the right time, which really is what Medicare really is. Right thing at the right time can save you lots of aggravation and stress. So I hope that helps. Tune in for other tips here on Get Set Up, and I'll be back with more.